Hello ARMY, welcome to JB News. Did BTS V just expose a private chat with Min Hee Jin, and if so, why now? What did Jungkook see that made ARMY panic within seconds? And is this the beginning of a deeper rift inside HYBE, or a misunderstanding that spiraled out of control? Tonight, we take you inside the storm that erupted online after Taehyung, known globally as BTS V, allegedly revealed evidence of a past conversation with former Odair CEO Min Hee Jin, a revelation that sent shockwaves across fandom spaces, triggered trending hashtags worldwide, and left millions of ARMY asking one haunting question. What is really happening behind the scenes? This is not just another rumor. This is a timeline that escalated in real time. Screenshots, silence, reactions, panic. And one unexpected response from Jungkook that only fueled the fire. Stay with us, because what happened in those first 30 seconds changed everything. It began with what fans described as a subtle but deliberate upload. No dramatic caption, no explanation, just an image allegedly showing fragments of a chat exchange linked to Min Hee Jin. Within minutes, Korean forums lit up. International Twitter followed. The keywords Taehyung chat, V Min Hee Jin, and Jungkook reaction surged into global trending charts. Was it accidental? Was it intentional? Or was it a message? The timing is what has ARMY unsettled. The K-pop industry has already been navigating one of its most turbulent corporate conflicts in years, with public disputes between HYBE and Min Hee Jin dominating headlines throughout 2024 and 2025. Legal battles, boardroom accusations, media statements, the entire saga blurred the line between entertainment and corporate warfare. When V's alleged chat exposure surfaced, fans immediately connected the dots. Why would V involve himself now? Sources close to industry insiders, and we emphasize these remain interpretations, not confirmed statements, suggest that the screenshot appeared authentic to many observers. The tone of the conversation, reportedly calm but pointed, sparked debate over whether V was defending himself, clarifying past misunderstandings, or distancing himself from narratives circulating online. Within hours, commentary channels began dissecting every pixel, the timestamp, the phrasing, even the background color of the messaging app. In today's digital age, nothing escaped scrutiny, but it wasn't just the alleged chat that intensified the moment. It was Jungkook. Fans noticed something unusual almost immediately. Jungkook, typically measured and cautious during public controversies, made a subtle but noticeable change on social media. A shift in profile activity. A brief live appearance where his tone felt, according to viewers, heavier than usual. No direct mention of V. No explicit reference to Min Hee Jin. Yet the timing was impossible to ignore. ARMY began asking, was Jungkook reacting to the exposure? Did he know beforehand? Was this coordinated or spontaneous? The panic wasn't rooted in scandal alone. It was rooted in fear. Fear that BTS members were being pulled into corporate crossfire. Fear that internal tensions were surfacing publicly. Fear that something fragile was cracking beneath the surface of unity fans have cherished for over a decade. To understand the weight of this moment, we must revisit context. Min Hee Jin's highly publicized conflict with HYBE created ripple effects across multiple labels and artists. Public court filings, press conferences, and allegations of internal power struggles dominated industry discourse. Although BTS was not directly implicated in the corporate dispute, the group's legacy status within HYBE meant that any connection, even indirect, would attract explosive attention. When V's name appeared alongside Min Hee Jin's in trending topics, the internet didn't whisper. It roared. SEO analysts tracking K-pop news cycles reported a dramatic spike in search queries within hours. BTS V exposes chat, Taehyung Min Hee Jin proof, Jungkook reaction live, and why did V post screenshot flooded Google Trends dashboards. International media outlets began cautiously referencing the online speculation, careful not to confirm unverified details, but acknowledging the frenzy. The biggest question remains, why would V expose anything at all? Some fans believe it was an act of self-protection, a preemptive clarification in response to private rumors. Others argue it may have been misinterpreted, perhaps an unrelated image taken out of context. Without an official statement from V, HYBE, or Min Hee Jin, every interpretation remains speculative, yet the emotional temperature tells its own story. During Jungkook's brief live interaction following the incident, viewers described his demeanor as contemplative. His words were neutral, focused on music and gratitude, but ARMY sensed tension in the pauses. Was that projection? Or was something unspoken lingering in the air? Social media psychology experts often note that in high-stakes fandom environments, silence can be louder than statements. The absence of denial sometimes fuels more suspicion than confirmation. But here is the critical point. As of this broadcast, there has been no verified confirmation that the chat screenshot represents a new allegation of wrongdoing. There has been no official legal accusation tied to V in relation to Min Hee Jin. The narrative unfolding online is driven largely by interpretation and emotional reaction rather than formal declarations. And yet, perception shapes reality in the digital era. Fans began splitting into camps. One side urging caution, emphasizing that screenshots can be edited or misunderstood. Another side demanding transparency, arguing that public figures owe clarity when their posts ignite global speculation. The hashtags calling for explanation trended for nearly 12 consecutive hours. What makes this situation uniquely intense is BTS's current chapter. With members pursuing solo activities and gradually preparing for full group reconnection after military service periods, the emotional sensitivity within the fandom is heightened. Every gesture feels amplified. Every silence feels strategic. Industry observers caution against jumping to conclusions. Corporate disputes often produce collateral narratives, and high-profile artists can become symbolic figures within broader power struggles even without direct involvement. So is V exposing proof or exposing frustration? One subtle clue fans analyzed was the absence of aggressive language in the alleged screenshot. If authentic, the conversation appeared measured. That nuance complicates the theory of explosive confrontation. It raises a different possibility. Perhaps this was less about accusation and more about clarification. But clarification of what? Was V addressing rumors behind the scenes? Was he correcting a mischaracterization? Or was this simply a misunderstood moment that spiraled beyond its original intention? Meanwhile, Jungkook's name continues to trend alongside V's, not because of statements made, but because of the emotional bond ARMY associates between them. The duo's history of visible closeness amplifies any perceived shift. When fans sense even a slight difference in tone, speculation multiplies. Experts in media culture emphasize that parasocial dynamics intensify during ambiguity. When official information is scarce, communities fill the gaps collectively, constructing narratives from fragments. As of now, HYBE has not released a formal response directly addressing the alleged chat exposure. Min Hee Jin has not publicly commented on any interaction with V related to recent online claims. Silence, again, remains the loudest element, and that silence leaves room for the most pressing question of all. What is V trying to say? Was this a calculated move? An emotional reaction? A strategic distancing from controversy? Or a simple misunderstanding amplified by the speed of digital virality? The emotional impact on ARMY cannot be overstated. Many fans describe feeling anxious, protective, and confused. Community forums reflect a mixture of fierce loyalty and cautious skepticism. Some urge patience, reminding others that incomplete information can cause unnecessary harm. Others demand immediate clarity to prevent rumors from mutating further. This is the reality of modern K-pop, where corporate governance, artist autonomy, and global fandom collide in public view. If there is one undeniable truth tonight, it is this: perception travels faster than confirmation. Within hours, a single image, whether intentional exposure or misinterpreted content, transformed into a global conversation about loyalty, corporate tension, and artistic boundaries, and Jungkook's quiet presence, whether coincidental or connected, added emotional gravity. So where does this leave us? It leaves us at a crossroads between speculation and fact, between emotional reaction and verified information. between viral narrative and official record. Until confirmed statements emerge, the responsible position remains one of careful observation rather than definitive accusation. Screenshots, trends, and live reactions form part of a story, but not necessarily its conclusion. As we close tonight's broadcast, one final question lingers in the minds of millions. If V chose to reveal something, what truth is he protecting? And from whom? The world is watching. ARMY is waiting. And in the silence between posts and press releases, anticipation grows heavier by the hour. This is a developing story. The tension did not fade overnight. In fact, as the hours turned into days, the narrative only deepened. New interpretations surfaced. Old interviews were re-examined. Past timelines were reconstructed frame by frame, as if the fandom had collectively transformed into investigative journalists. But let us slow this down, because beneath the noise, beneath the hashtags, beneath the panic, one core question refuses to disappear. Was this exposure an act of defiance or an act of defense? Industry analysts began pointing out something crucial. In high-level corporate disputes, especially those as public and legally sensitive as the HYBE versus Min Hee Jin conflict, any association carries weight. Even a simple acknowledgement of communication can be weaponized by opposing narratives. So if V did reveal part of a conversation, the context becomes everything. Context determines intention, and intention determines impact. What makes this moment even more volatile is the delicate stage BTS is currently navigating. Members have been transitioning through military service, solo promotions, creative independence, and an evolving relationship with HYBE as both artists and stakeholders. The balance between corporate loyalty and personal autonomy has never been more visible. So when Taehyung's name enters a storyline tied to a former executive at the center of a power struggle, observers immediately look for meaning. Was he distancing himself from accusations? Was he proving neutrality? Or was he sending a signal that he refuses to be used as collateral in a boardroom war? Online sentiment analysis tools recorded a surge in emotionally charged language within ARMY communities. Words like protect, betrayal, truth, and manipulation appeared at unusually high frequencies. This suggests that fans are not merely reacting to a screenshot, they are reacting to fear of instability. And then there was Jungkook. Again, no direct statement. No public confirmation of any internal issue. Yet the emotional projection onto him intensified. Clips of his live appearance were slowed down, replayed, analyzed. A pause before answering a question. A softer tone during a thank you message. Was it exhaustion? Was it unrelated stress? Or was it awareness? Experts caution that in moments of uncertainty, human psychology fills silence with narrative. Jungkook's perceived reaction may reflect fandom anxiety more than actual crisis, but perception shapes public momentum, and momentum shapes headlines. Several Korean media outlets began publishing cautiously worded pieces acknowledging online speculation surrounding V and Min Hee Jin, careful not to validate unconfirmed claims. International entertainment platforms mirrored the approach, emphasizing that no official allegations of wrongdoing have been filed against V in connection to the corporate dispute. Still, the damage, or perhaps the disruption, was already unfolding. Because even without confirmation, the idea of exposure carries symbolic weight. For years, BTS has maintained a carefully balanced image of unity, professionalism, and emotional transparency without crossing into corporate commentary. If one member appears to break that unspoken boundary, intentionally or not, it represents a shift in tone, and ARMY senses shifts immediately. Let's examine a deeper layer. Some fans believe V's alleged exposure may not have been about Min Hee Jin specifically, but about reclaiming narrative control. In an era where artists often feel overshadowed by corporate headlines, perhaps this was a subtle reminder that the members themselves are not passive figures in executive conflicts. Others counter that interpretation, arguing that Taehyung has historically avoided direct involvement in company disputes. They question whether the screenshot was misinterpreted, edited, or stripped of original context before going viral. Without an official clarification, both possibilities remain open. But here is where the story grows more complex. Behind the emotional turbulence lies a strategic reality. BTS is not just a group, it is a global brand, a multi-billion-dollar ecosystem intertwined with HYBE's identity. Any perceived fracture impacts stock market discussions, investor confidence, and media framing. Indeed, financial analysts monitoring HYBE observed short-term fluctuations in investor forums as the online storm gained traction. While no major corporate move has been directly tied to the incident, perception alone can create tremors. So we ask again, why now? Why would this surface at a time when the corporate dispute narrative has already stretched public patience? One theory circulating among commentators suggests timing could be reactive rather than proactive. Perhaps rumors were circulating privately. Perhaps misinformation was spreading within insider networks. And perhaps, if the exposure was intentional, it was meant to preempt distortion. In crisis communication strategy, early clarification can prevent larger misrepresentation, but it can also ignite unintended fire. The emotional epicenter of this storm remains ARMY. Fan communities are not monolithic. Some call for restraint and emphasize loyalty to all members regardless of rumor. Others demand transparency from both HYBE and former executives. A smaller but vocal segment speculates about internal divisions, despite no confirmed evidence of conflict among the members themselves. It is critical to emphasize that, as of this moment, there is no verified proof of discord between V and Jungkook. The panic largely stems from interpretation rather than declaration. Yet in fandom ecosystems, interpretation often feels as powerful as fact. Late-night live stream comment sections filled with messages reading, "Protect Taehyung," "Trust Jungkook," and "We need the truth." Emotional investment fuels engagement, and engagement fuels algorithmic amplification. The cycle feeds itself. Meanwhile, V has remained publicly composed. No follow-up clarification. No defensive explanation. That silence is being interpreted in two dramatically different ways. Some see strength, a refusal to dignify speculation. Others see mystery, a hint that more is beneath the surface. And what about Min Hee Jin? Her ongoing legal and corporate dispute with HYBE continues independently of this fandom eruption. Any perceived interaction with BTS members would inevitably attract disproportionate attention due to their stature. But again, there is no official statement confirming wrongdoing, secret alliance, or coordinated strategy involving V. We stand in a fog of partial information, and in that fog, imagination expands. What cannot be ignored is the emotional toll on the audience. ARMY is not simply a consumer base, it is a community built on years of shared narratives, resilient stories, and emotional transparency from the group itself. When uncertainty threatens that foundation, anxiety spikes. Yet history offers perspective. BTS has weathered controversies before. Misinterpretations, false rumors, corporate shakeups. Each time, the group's internal solidarity ultimately spoke louder than external noise. Is this moment different? That is the question dominating global timelines. If he intended to expose proof, perhaps it was to protect his integrity. If the exposure was misunderstood, perhaps it will fade once clarity emerges. If there is deeper context still hidden, it may surface in due time through official channels rather than cryptic posts. Until then, we remain in anticipation, and perhaps that is the most powerful element of this entire saga: anticipation. Because in an industry where every movement is choreographed, every silence calculated, and every word dissected, unpredictability feels seismic. So we leave you with this developing reflection. Was this the beginning of a fracture? Or the beginning of transparency? Did Jungkook's subtle reaction signal concern? Or was it simply a coincidence magnified by collective fear? And most importantly, is V protecting himself, protecting someone else, or protecting a truth that has yet to be fully understood? The world continues to watch. ARMY continues to wait, and somewhere between corporate strategy and personal conviction, the real story is still unfolding. And just when the noise seemed to reach its peak, something even more unsettling happened. Nothing. No clarification from Taehyung. No denial from HYBE. No counterstatement from Min Hee Jin. No direct mention from Jungkook, silence became the loudest headline of all. In crisis communication, silence can mean many things. It can signal legal restraint. It can indicate internal negotiation. It can reflect strategic patience. Or it can represent something far more personal, a refusal to escalate. But in the world of BTS, where every breath trends globally, silence does not calm the storm. It intensifies it. Search engines continued to surge with phrases like, "Why did V expose Min Hee Jin chat? Is Jungkook upset with V? HYBE internal conflict BTS, and what is really happening to Taehyung?" The SEO momentum alone reveals the magnitude of public curiosity. This is no longer just fandom chatter. It has become a digital phenomenon crossing entertainment, corporate governance, and cultural commentary. Let's step back and analyze the deeper structural tension beneath the emotional reactions. BTS operates within a corporate framework that has grown exponentially over the last decade. HYBE transformed from a music label into a global entertainment conglomerate, acquiring subsidiaries, expanding internationally, and diversifying its business model. With expansion comes complexity. With complexity comes power dynamics. Min Hee Jin's highly publicized dispute with HYBE exposed cracks within that structure. Allegations of internal disagreements, strategic conflicts, and leadership friction played out in courtrooms and press conferences. While BTS was not officially at the center of those disputes, their symbolic weight within the company makes any connection explosive. So, if Taehyung's alleged chat exposure was real and intentional, it may not be about scandal. It may be about positioning within a shifting corporate landscape, positioning as an artist with autonomy, positioning as someone unwilling to let narratives form without his voice. But here is where the emotional layer intensifies, because BTS has always emphasized unity, brotherhood, shared struggle, shared success. The idea that one member might publicly reveal something connected to an executive figure raises uncomfortable questions about alignment and loyalty. Even if those questions are speculative. ARMY's panic did not erupt because of confirmed betrayal. It erupted because of uncertainty. And uncertainty feels dangerous when you love something deeply. Jungkook's perceived reaction remains one of the most discussed aspects of this entire situation. A slightly heavier expression. A pause before responding to a comment. A subtle shift in tone. These micromoments have been replayed thousands of times, each viewer searching for hidden meaning. Was he surprised? Was he concerned? Or was he simply tired, carrying the weight of global expectations as he always does? Psychologists who study fan behavior often note that when emotional bonds are strong, ambiguity becomes a canvas for projection. Fans project fear, hope, and anxiety onto neutral gestures. In this case,